The planet was dark and cold, covered with sharp rocks and toxic air. Captain Mark and his small exploration team had been sent to investigate strange signals from the uncharted planet. Their mission was simple: gather data and leave. But what they found changed everything. As they walked through the rocky terrain, Sarah, the team's medic, noticed a faint sound. It was like a soft cry. She froze, signaling the others to stop. "Do you hear that?" she whispered. The team followed the sound until they came across a small, glowing pod buried in the ground. Inside was a tiny, trembling alien baby with silver skin and large, shining blue eyes. "It's a baby," Sarah said, her voice filled with both surprise and pity. The creature looked helpless, its cries weak and soft. Mark hesitated. "We can't interfere. This isn't part of the mission," he said. But Sarah refused to listen. "If we leave it here, it will die. Look at it. It's just a baby." After a heated argument, the team decided to take the baby with them. They named it Nova, inspired by the stars above. They didn't know if this decision would bring danger, but they couldn't leave the baby to die. Raising Nova. Back on Earth, the team secretly raised Nova in a hidden research facility. At first, the alien baby was weak and fragile. Sarah spent hours feeding and caring for it. Slowly, Nova grew stronger. By the age of 1, Nova could walk, run, and even lift objects twice her size. Nova was unlike any human child. She learned quickly and could mimic human behavior. She loved playing games, watching cartoons, and eating pancakes, which became her favorite food. But there was something else. Nova had extraordinary powers. Her strength was unmatched, her speed unthinkable, and her mind sharp as a blade. She could learn languages in days and understand complex machines like they were toys. The team loved Nova like she was one of their own. But they always knew they had to keep her a secret. The world wasn't ready to know about her. The threat arrives. Years passed, and Nova grew into a strong and intelligent being. By the time she was 10, she looked humanoid but had glowing silver skin and bright, piercing eyes. She often asked Sarah, "Where do I come from? Why do I look different?" Sarah would smile and say, "You're special, Nova, and you are here because we care about you." But peace didn't last long. One day, massive alien ships appeared in Earth's orbit. They were the Centauri, a powerful and warlike alien race. Their leader, General Kale, sent a message to Earth. "You have something that belongs to us. Surrender the stolen child, or we will destroy your planet." The humans were shocked. No one knew how the Centauri had found out about Nova. Fear spread across the planet. The government demanded Nova be handed over, but Sarah and Mark refused. "She's not just an alien," Mark said. "She's our family." Nova, overhearing the conversation, stepped forward. "They're here because of me. I won't let them hurt Earth. I'll fight them." Nova's power unleashed. The Centauri launched their attack, sending thousands of warships to Earth. Cities were under siege, and chaos erupted everywhere. Nova, now fully aware of her powers, took charge. "I won't let them destroy my home," she said, her voice steady and fearless. With the team's help, Nova created a special suit to enhance her abilities. As the alien ships rained destruction, Nova flew into the sky, her silver body glowing like a comet. Using her immense strength, she destroyed Centauri ships one by one. Her speed was unmatched, and her intelligence helped her outsmart the Centauri generals. On the battlefield, General Kyle himself appeared, challenging Nova. "You're a traitor to your kind," he growled. Nova stood tall and replied, "These humans saved me when you abandoned me. They are my family." The fight between Nova and Kyle was fierce. The general was strong, but Nova was stronger. She used every ounce of her power to defeat him, throwing him into the depths of space. The Centauri fleet retreated, realizing they could not win against her. A new protector. As the dust settled, Earth celebrated its victory. Nova was hailed as a hero, but she didn't seek fame. Instead, she returned to her family, the team that had raised her. "I belong here," she said, hugging Sarah tightly. The world now knew about Nova, but they didn't see her as a threat. Instead, they saw her as Earth's greatest defender. She promised to protect her home and the people she loved. In time, Nova became a symbol of hope, proving that kindness and bravery could create unbreakable bonds, even between different species. For Nova, Earth wasn't just a planet. It was her family, her home, and the place she would protect for the rest of her life. The quiet night on Mars was suddenly broken by a loud crash. A small spaceship, damaged and burning, fell from the sky and landed near an old human mining outpost. Inside the outpost, Ethan, an engineer, and his dog, Max, were startled by the noise. Grabbing a flashlight and his toolkit, Ethan hurried outside to see what had happened. When he reached the crash site, he found a small, strange-looking creature lying among the wreckage. The alien was tiny, barely the size of a human toddler, with soft green skin and wide, glowing eyes. It was trembling and badly hurt. Ethan's heart ached as the creature whimpered in pain. "It's just a kid," he whispered to himself. Without hesitation, Ethan scooped up the alien in his arms and carried it back to the outpost. He didn't know who it was or where it came from, but he knew one thing: it needed help. Healing and trust. Ethan spent the next few days caring for the little alien. He cleaned its wounds, gave it water, and tried his best to keep it comfortable. At first, the alien was scared, hiding whenever Ethan came close. But slowly, it began to trust him. Ethan named the alien Lumo, inspired by the soft glow it gave off in the dark. Lumo couldn't speak human language, but it was smart. It understood Ethan's kindness and started to mimic his gestures. Max, the dog, became Lumo's first friend, and the two played together as if they had known each other forever. As Lumo grew stronger, Ethan noticed something incredible. Lumo had strange powers. It could lift heavy objects with its mind, heal small injuries with a touch, and even generate a protective shield when frightened. Ethan was amazed, but also worried. If anyone found out about Lumo, the government or even hostile aliens might try to take it away. "We have to keep you safe," Ethan said to Lumo one night. The alien looked at him with its glowing eyes, as if it understood. The danger arrives. One day, Ethan's fears became reality. Massive alien ships appeared in the sky over Mars. These were the Kragans, a ruthless alien species known for conquering weaker planets. Their leader, Commander Zorak, sent a chilling message: "You have something that belongs to us. Surrender the fugitive, or your planet will burn." Ethan realized the Kragans were after Lumo. The little alien looked up at Ethan, fear in its eyes. "They won't take you," Ethan promised. "Not while I'm here." The Kragans began their attack, targeting Mars colonies and outposts. Their ships were powerful, and humanity's defenses were no match for them. Panic spread across the planet as people tried to flee. But Lumo stepped forward, its small body glowing brighter than ever. It looked at Ethan and then at the chaos outside. "You want to help?" Ethan asked. Lumo nodded. Lumo's first fight. Ethan quickly built a device to amplify Lumo's powers. Using his engineering skills, he created a small suit that allowed Lumo to control its energy more effectively. "This will protect you," Ethan said, strapping the suit onto Lumo. The little alien smiled and gave Ethan a thumbs up, a gesture it had learned from him. As the Kragan ships descended, Lumo flew into action. It was a sight no one would ever forget: a tiny alien, glowing like a star, darting through the sky. Lumo used its telekinetic powers to stop missiles mid-air and hurl them back at the enemy ships. It created shields to protect humans and used bursts of energy to disable the Kragans' weapons. The Kragans were furious. Commander Zorak himself came to the battlefield, piloting a massive warship. "You think a child can defeat me?" he roared. But Lumo was not afraid. With Ethan guiding it from the ground, Lumo used its powers to create a massive energy wave, destroying Zorak's ship and forcing the Kragans to retreat. A new hero. When the battle was over, the people of Mars cheered for their unlikely savior. Lumo, the small alien they had feared at first, had become their greatest hero. News of Lumo's bravery spread across the galaxy, and even the Earth government, initially suspicious of Lumo, declared it a friend of humanity. Lumo, however, didn't care about fame. It only cared about Ethan and Max, the family who had saved it when it needed help the most. Together, they returned to their outpost, where they continued to live peacefully. But things were different now. Whenever danger threatened Mars or Earth, Lumo was ready to defend its new home. It wasn't just a little alien anymore, it was a symbol of hope, courage, and the unbreakable bond between two very different beings. Ethan often looked at Lumo with pride. "You might be small," he said one night, "but you've got the biggest heart in the galaxy." And Lumo, glowing softly in the dark, barked a laugh, just like Max. The stars above Earth twinkled brightly as the night grew quiet. Deep in the forests of a rural countryside, an unusual scene unfolded. A small alien craft, barely holding together, crash-landed among the trees. Smoke rose from the ship, and a faint humming sound came to an end. Inside the craft was an alien, tiny, injured, and scared. The alien named Ziru had escaped a fierce battle in space. Its homeworld had been attacked by a cruel empire, and Ziru had fled with no direction. Now stranded on Earth, it was alone, frightened, and unsure of its fate. A fateful encounter that night, a young woman named Mia, who worked as a wildlife rescuer, was out looking for an injured animal someone had reported. Instead of finding a fox or a bird, she stumbled upon Ziru's crashed ship, T first. Mia thought it was a drone or some strange piece of equipment. But then she saw Ziru crawl out, trembling and clearly in pain. It had soft, silver skin that shimmered faintly under the moonlight, and its wide eyes were filled with fear. "Don't worry," Mia whispered, kneeling down. She slowly extended her hand, showing she meant no harm. "I'll help you." Ziru hesitated but eventually let Mia pick it up. It was too weak to resist. She wrapped it gently in her jacket and carried it back to her small cabin in the forest. The bond grew over the next few days. Mia cared for Ziru like she would any injured animal. She cleaned its wounds, gave it water, and even tried to feed it fruit and nuts. At first, Ziru didn't trust her. It stayed in a corner, watching her closely. But Mia was patient. She talked to Ziru softly, even though she knew it couldn't understand her. Over time, Ziru realized she wasn't a threat. It began to respond, nodding its head or making soft chirping noises. Ziru also revealed some surprising abilities. It could hover a few inches off the ground, create small sparks of energy from its hands, and even fix broken objects with a touch. Mia was amazed but kept Ziru's presence a secret. She knew the world wasn't ready to meet a being like Ziru, and she wanted to protect it.as. The days turned into weeks. Mia and Ziru grew closer. Ziru learned to mimic some of Mia's gestures, and they developed a way to communicate. Mia would laugh as Ziru tried to copy her smile, its mouth forming a funny, lopsided curve. "You're not just a visitor," Mia said one night, patting Ziru's head. "You're part of the family now." The world discovers Ziru's peaceful life didn't last long. One evening, while Mia and Ziru were sitting outside under the stars, strange lights appeared in the sky. Ziru's face turned pale. It recognized those ships they belonged to the empire that had attacked its homeworld. The ships landed nearby, and armored soldiers emerged, searching for Ziru. Mia's heart raced as she realized the danger. She grabbed Ziru and ran into the forest, hiding among the trees. But the soldiers were relentless. They began setting fires to flush them out. Ziru looked at Mia with tears in its eyes. It didn't want her to get hurt because of it. "No," Mia said firmly, holding Ziru close. "We'll face this together." The stand for humanities, the soldiers closed in. Ziru made a decision. It stepped out from the hiding spot and raised its hands. A wave of energy erupted from its tiny body, pushing the soldiers back. The ground shook as trees bent and snapped under the force. The soldiers, realizing Ziru's strength, called for reinforcements. More ships descended, and it seemed like the end. But then, something incredible happened. The people of the nearby town who had seen the strange lights and heard the commotion came rushing to help. They brought tools, vehicles, and whatever they could to fight back. Mia led the charge, shouting, "Ziru is with us! Protect it!" The sight of humans standing together to protect Zero gave the little alien strength. It used its powers to shield the people, creating barriers of light and blasting the soldiers with precision. Together, Zero and the humans managed to force the enemy to retreat. A friendship remembered when the battle was over. Zero stood among the humans, its silver skin glowing faintly. The people cheered, and some even patted Zero on the back. Mia knelt beside it and said, "You're not just a friend to me. You're a friend to all of us." Zero chirped happily and placed its small hand on Mia's shoulder. Though it couldn't speak, its eyes said everything: gratitude, love, and an unbreakable bond. Zero didn't stay on Earth forever. It repaired its ship with the help of the townspeople and prepared to return to its homeworld to help its people. But before leaving, it made a promise. On the edge of a quiet forest, in the middle of an ordinary night, an extraordinary event occurred. A small alien craft streaked across the sky like a falling star and crashed into the earth with a brilliant flash of light. Hidden inside was a frightened alien child, alone and unsure its future. The alien, later called Rax, had fled its homeworld after a rebellion broke out. Its kind, the Variks, were known for being cold and calculating. They valued power above all else and considered emotions a weakness. But Rax was different. It didn't fit in with its people. It often felt things it wasn't supposed to fear: sadness, and even compassion. The first meeting. Rax's crash landing attracted the attention of a farmer named Daniel and his young daughter, Lily. They rushed toward the strange light, expecting to find a meteorite. Instead, they found the alien child struggling to crawl out of the wreckage. At first, Daniel was alarmed. "Stay back, Lily," he warned, shielding her with his arm. But Lily, only 8 years old, wasn't afraid. She stepped forward and knelt beside the trembling alien. "It's scared," she said softly, reaching out her hand. To Daniel's surprise, the alien didn't attack or run. It simply looked at Lily with its wide, glowing eyes and let out a small, pitiful sound. "Dad, we have to help it," Lily insisted. Though hesitant, Daniel couldn't refuse his daughter. Together, they carried the small alien back to their barn and made it a bed of hay. Over the next few days, they brought it food and water, watching as it slowly recovered. Learning to trust. Rax was cautious at first, unsure if the humans would harm it. But Lily's kindness melted its fear. She spent hours talking to it, even though it couldn't understand her words. She brought it toys, books, and blankets, treating it like a friend. Rax began to mimic her actions, copying the way she smiled or waved. It even tried to draw pictures with her crayons, its long, thin fingers struggling to hold them. Daniel, though still wary, began to see Rax differently. He noticed how it never tried to harm them and how it seemed to enjoy Lily's company. "Maybe it's not like the aliens in the movies," he admitted one evening. Little did they know, Rax's people were searching for it. The Variks had detected its escape pod landing on Earth, and they were not happy. To them, Rax was a failure, a defect that didn't belong in their perfect society. The arrival of the Variks. One night, strange ships appeared in the sky. The Variks had found Rax. They landed near the farm, their sleek, dark figures emerging from the shadows. They moved silently, their glowing weapons scanning the area. Rax, sensing their presence, began to panic. It chirped and gestured frantically, trying to warn Daniel and Lily. "Are they looking for you?" Daniel asked. Rax nodded, its glowing eyes filled with fear. It didn't want to go back. The Variks soon found the barn. They surrounded it, their leader stepping forward to speak. "Rax, come with us." "You do not belong here," the leader said in a cold, commanding voice. Rax hesitated, looking at Lily and Daniel. For the first time, it felt like it had a choice. It could return to its people and live as they demanded, or it could stay with the humans who had shown it kindness and warmth. A defining choice. Rax stepped forward, its small body trembling. The Variks assumed it was surrendering, but instead, Rax raised its hands and created a barrier of light around the barn. "I won't go back." Rax's voice echoed in their minds, its first words spoken telepathically. "These humans are my family now." The Variks were stunned. To them, Rax's actions were unthinkable. A Varric choosing humans over its own kind? It was an insult to everything they believed in. The leader ordered the soldiers to capture Rax, but Daniel and Lily stood in their way. Daniel held a pitchfork, while Lily clung to Rax's hand. "If you want it, you'll have to go through us," Daniel said fiercely. Rax, inspired by their bravery, used its powers to fight back. It created waves of energy that knocked the Varrics off their feet, giving the humans a chance to retreat. Together, they outsmarted the aliens, using the dense forest to escape. The aftermath? The Varrics eventually gave up, deciding Rax wasn't worth the effort. They left Earth, vowing never to return. Rax stayed with Daniel and Lily, becoming a part of their family. It helped on the farm, using its abilities to repair tools and grow crops. Over time, it even learned to speak a little, its favorite word being home. News of Rax's choice spread across the galaxy. Other species, inspired by its story, began to question the Varric's cold ways. Some even reached out to Earth, hoping to learn more about the humans who had shown such kindness. A legacy of friendship. Years later, Rax would look back on that night and smile. It had made the hardest choice of its life, but it had been the right one.